The Flogcast may occasionally contain explicit content that makes it not safe for work or for minors. It also doesn't provide an excuse to use the same words on Bay 13. Normal Big Footy rules still apply.
Alright, so this is the Flogcast for round 8. The emotionally checked out Tiger Starburns is here, and I'm joined by the number one fan of Chris Mayne from Collingwood, Morgan Ashley.
Hello, I'm going to have to get a new cat and call it Chris Mayne.
And her sycophants, we have the Andrew Mackey of Podcast from St Kilda, Cookson.
This season sucks.
Bay 13's number one Kiwi from Hawthorn, Penal.
5-2 and full of goo.
And finally, the White Knight of Redheads Everywhere from North, Dan.
Yeah, hello. I was gonna play my didgeridoo, but I won't. So.
I was gonna say, shouldn't that be the Black Knight?
What did I say? What did I say about could we get through the episode? We couldn't even get through the intros.
Sorry, I couldn't help it.
You know what he's like. He was always going to get stuck on it.
Oh, just for a bit of context for our listeners, before we started recording, Dan took it upon himself to tell us who's allowed to identify as Indigenous based on their hair colours. So yeah, you'll hear it all in the outtakes later this year. Anyway, goo or tears? We'll go straight into it. What do we got goo or tears for this week?
I have goo and tears. I like to stay as neutral as possible on this podcast. I don't like talking about North too much or getting uppity about any wins that we get. However... You
do get uppity about the North supporters that are on Big Footy, though.
Yeah, but they all want to touch my dick, so you can understand why I'm...
You're too shy to let them?
Yeah. But anyways, when you get a victory against a rotting organisation that is the Sydney Swans, it's worth mentioning. So, Sydney, you can get fucked and go North.
So why tears then?
Well, my tears are for a completely different subject. It's come to my attention that some flat earther from the US has claimed that Australia is fake.
Oh, have you not heard this one?
It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. The people of Australia are either spam bots or actors. So I don't know. Whoever you are the bots and whoever you are the actors, I think the gig is up.
The Indigenous people aren't real, that's for sure.
Yeah, they're not real. And the gingers, or the very, very rare case in which you are a ginger and Indigenous and you're desperate. I mean, can you imagine that? I can't imagine that. It's just, it's a strange world we live in. But yeah, we're all fake.
So how do you feel, Dan? You don't really exist.
I don't really exist. Well...
Is this an existential crisis for you?
Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do now. Or, we do exist. There are gingers, there are Indigenous people, and
Indigenous gingers.
Yes.
No, there's none of those.
Well, there's a first for everything. And this moron from the US just needs a bullet to the head. They all do, the flat earth.
But the bullet probably wouldn't hit him because the Earth's flat.
That's true.
And gravity doesn't.
This movement just keeps getting legs. I don't know how it does.
We live in the age of stupidity.
Because people are so convinced that they're being rorted by everyone. Everybody's so terrified that everything's a lie. Everything's a lie.
Is it that, or is it just people who are just losers, who are broken in life because they have no sense of belonging? They got trampled on at school or at work.
Because they had red hair?
They were redheads.
Yeah, that could be it. And they
got transferred schools.
So they go,
the flat earth theory is a Ranger conspiracy.
Hey, I've seen Ranger flat earthers. I've seen videos of them.
I've seen videos.
So these guys, they congregate and they all form a group and they all have a sense of belonging because they're all retarded.
Yeah, hang on. I think I know where this is going. Red hair plus no sense of belonging equals making up a ridiculous lie to try and fit in. Isn't that right, Dan?
I could be onto something. They all look like retarded and just funny looking because, like, I'm serious. Whenever you see a flat Earth video from something,
They look like someone who would believe anything, no matter how stupid.
they look like esports participants. All right. Hello,
It's a bit harsh on
Jose.
the esports participants.
Hello, Jose.
I was going to say they look more like esports fans. Hello.
Well, yeah, Jose does look like a flat Earth believer. You don't ever see a flat Earther that's like 6'4" or good looking or hot or attractive.
What about Kyrie Irving?
Well, there always is that one exception, kind of like the ginger and the indigenous guy. But for the most part,
See, I'm with you, Dan. That's why that cunt's he's probably adding to it, going, no, I'm not Australian. Australia doesn't exist. I wasn't born in Australia. Fucking idiot. He could squash the whole thing if he wanted to.
It must be very hard for him to be on both sides of the conspiracy there. Technically, his existence comes from a place that doesn't exist, but he believes it doesn't exist as a flat earther.
well, it's one person that said. Well, there might be more than one person that said Australia.
It's an existing. Actually, that theory is separate to the flat Earth that Australia doesn't exist. That's another theory, but I guess the flat earthers have jumped on it too, because there's only so much room on the planet for so many places.
There's a whole community dedicated to the theory that Finland doesn't exist and is made up by the CIA to cover up for some secret spy alien lab shit.
Finland doesn't exist, so that's funny because Finland's usually the one that gets used as a benchmark for education. So
Isn't that the country with the least amount of car accidents, or am I thinking of some other European?
Oh, it could be Finland as well. They seem to have a lot going for them, except for that
It's probably somewhere in Scandinavia. They're always up the top of those rankings. So,
if there's no Finland, then how does countries like Sweden and
but I think,
well,
I think
they exist. Finland doesn't.
I think you're onto something with the education rankings, because if it always ranks 100% in the schools and education rankings, you get those fucking dumb Americans who then go, oh, a place this good could not possibly exist. It must be made up.
Pretty much the irony there that somewhere that's top for education actually could be believed to not exist by stupid people. There's just, this intellectual utopia can't be right, because in America we know so much more because we know the Earth is flat and that Finland isn't real. So this is the smartest place in the world, apparently. And Australia doesn't exist. Yeah, so that was a very interesting little tangent.
Yeah, wasn't it great?
No, I enjoyed it. Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame our lack of existence really brought down your North goo, which was very brief. Who wants to go next?
You know, I'll have some goo. Well, Nat Fly, he played a ripper of a game. It was good to watch. It's good to see a player fit, and hopefully he'll be sad at this eventual sacking of Rossi Leinstein this week. So
yeah, that room is chugging along quite nicely at the moment. Leinstein.
Well, Ross Lyon's getting the sack.
Yeah, that one's growing a bit of legs today.
Is that because of the throwaway comment that he made to some
budding boobs? We'll come back to budding boobs.
Not that bad.
Maybe this is just the excuse they need to get rid of him because he's, as far as football coach goes, he's not.
Well, then be honest, because that's a more valid reason.
No, but then they have to pay him. If they can sack him for being a sexual deviant, then they might not have to pay him.
Gross misconduct and get your entitlements.
So they're gonna go down that route just to save some money.
Well, he's on a lot of money. He's on $1 million a year for the next 3.
It sounds like something St Kilda would do.
We don't have money.
Exactly. That sounds like something St Kilda would do.
Morgs or Penal or myself, who wants to go next?
I guess I'll have some goo for someone who made me very gooey this week, James Sicily. And he's pretty much worth the ticket price alone, just because you don't know what he's going to do, if he's going to play the game of his life and just dominate the whole game, or if he's gonna kick some cunt's head in and get suspended for a couple of weeks. It's just you're probably the most interesting player in football right now in terms of just rocking up to
And
sort
the
of
biggest douchebag.
keep one eye on him and see what he does if he gets fired up. Yeah, he's a bit of a wanker, but he's our wanker, and we love him. And admit it, who didn't love watching him? You know, go up to Joe Daniher, kicking a goal. You're playing at full back. Your opponent gives away a 50. You get to slot a goal, and then you just rub it in his face. I love it.
No, it's pretty classless, I think.
No, that's good. That's some funny trolling. We should see some more of that.
It's like the jab thing that Sam Mitchell did a couple of years ago. It's like if you get upset over something like that, then you just fucking negative Nancy, and you can't have any fun. And you should just.
I can have lots of fun, but that guy's still a douchebag.
Just leave him alone, man. He would have had to have changed schools growing up. It's probably why he struggled to relate to people.
You don't know how hard it must have been for him growing up. Well, you probably do, but.
Wait, are you claiming Sicily was a ginger?
He is a ginger.
He's mustard blonde.
No, he's not. He's just faggot Swedish blonde. He's not ginger.
That's a new category.
Is Sicily indigenous?
Oh, anyone can be now these days. It's getting out of hand.
The last time we had our fullback kick a goal on someone is Brian Lake did it to Kurt Tippett once in a final. So well done, Danaher. You're now as good as Tippett.
Morgs.
I got tears for my mum, who fucking casually made a phone call to me today to alert me to Scott Pendlebury's handball yesterday. Apparently, that's worth a phone call to tell me how good the fucking handball was. Bitch, get off my phone. I don't want to hear this, you fucking Pendlebury apologist.
Okay, what was this handball?
It was an impressive handball, and given the fact that she goes, what about Pendlebury's handball? And I knew what she was talking about. Like, it led to a goal. You don't call somebody a fucking white knight a player about a handball, lady. She's like, you're too hard on him. You're too hard on him. He's a great player. I was like, get off my fucking phone. I'm not listening to this.
Jeez, you got to be nice to your mum.
No, not when she calls you to fucking goo about Scott Pendlebury. Oh, what a fucking maniac. Anyway.
Must have been one hell of a handball.
Oh, look, your dad is probably still gooing over it.
Did I miss something? Or because I think Robbo during the week said Pendlebury is Collingwood's greatest ever player.
Yes, he did say that. He said he was in contention. He goes, I know there's Bob Rose and there's Coventry
and there's Nathan Buckley.
He didn't say Bucks.
What do you mean?
I don't think he put Bucks in that conversation, but he put Pendlebury.
Fucking mod.
But he put Pendlebury in it.
Yeah, and it's funny because Robbo sucks up to Bucks when he can these days.
Pendlebury's not the best player we've had in the last 10 years. Swanee was better than Pendlebury.
Maybe at getting his junk out.
Oh, well. What a crap video that was.
Oh, have you seen it?
I haven't even seen it. Oh, of course it's on your phone. He wrote an article about that being tracked back to everybody, and he's going to pursue legal options if anyone's caught sharing it.
Come at me.
You're in big trouble, Morgan.
Whatever. Can I post it in here? I don't know if it works.
Well, I don't want to get sued.
I don't want to get sued, man. Come on. No one likes to be sued.
Ooh.
It's all right. You can share it on behind 7 proxies. Government can't get me.
Fuck the poo-poo.
Yeah, you're right, Penal. I'd forgotten about Robbo saying that, but he did. Yeah, Pendlebury's Collingwood's all-time greatest. And I think that's a fair comment. Like, not that I've seen any of the other ones, but I'd say he's the best Collingwood player I've ever seen.
Oh, she did sound.
Oh, not biting. Get fucked.
Man, Swanee's video has no fucking quality. Was he on a fucking Hawaii?
I don't think he took the video.
No way. Come on.
I guess we know Cookie's getting sued.
You want to see HD quality of Swanee's junk? Is that what you're saying, Cookson?
I expect HD quality.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, Dan.
You can very clearly see his dick because it's the only bit that's not tattooed.
Oh, so that bit's not tattooed. Okay, well, that's...
Now Dan's going to have a look.
No, I'm not going to look at his fucking shit. I'm just trying to rationale why someone who is a body enthusiast when it comes to tattoos doesn't want to get the rest of their stuff tattooed.
Because no one else is meant to see it, and I guess it would probably hurt.
Well, tattoos in general hurt, don't they?
Yes, but some areas are more sensitive than others, wouldn't you say?
That's true.
Well,
That's
people
very
get
true.
that sensitive area pierced, though, so presumably a tattoo wouldn't be as bad.
Well, who would get... Well, hang on, Penal. Who would get their junk pierced? I mean, that's completely...
Glen Manton.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, but it gives you more pleasure. It makes it more sensitive. So, whereas a tattoo adds no value. But
hang on.
Do you get the tattoo?
Genitalia piercings give you more pleasure. Did I hear that right?
Yeah,
Dan's learning all sorts of new things today.
The same as nipple piercings.
Is that coming from personal experience?
Yes. Yes.
Well, I'm gonna put some nails in my dick, and then we'll see. I'm probably gonna start shooting out like a sprinkler now. That's gonna be fun.
Put some nails in your dick, you won't even be able to put jocks on.
Apparently, I have heard that is apparently a thing, though. Like, if you get one, you have to sit down to pee, is what I've heard.
Well, that makes sense because you're shooting out like a clarinet. I mean, that's...
What do you mean a clarinet?
Clarinet?
Well, you've got multiple holes on your dingling.
So you're saying you're saying saliva shoots out of it?
You got to cover up the couple of holes on the side with your fingers.
Have you guys
playing a clarinet?
Have
you guys ever seen Me, Myself, and Irene? The scene when Jim Carrey goes to the toilet. He ends up pissing all over the walls and shit.
Like a clarinet?
Yeah, like he has to use like the shower drape to take a piss.
Or maybe he has a piercing.
Yeah, I forget the circumstances behind that thing. But yeah,
anyway, if you were going to get a tattoo on your dick, would you get it done when it's hard or when it's soft? Because it's going to look different at different times.
Yeah, that's true. Like,
yeah, what's more important?
How would you maintain a hard dick during a tattoo session anyway?
You'd have to like swallow a bottle of Viagra just so you can get your dick tattooed.
Maybe just get one that could be stretched, like as a visual. You get what I mean?
Yeah, but how do you know how big it's going to stretch?
Yeah, Penal's already got an idea. Come on.
No, but it's like one of those little, the holograms where you like turn it on different, and the picture changes.
Yeah, no.
And then the picture changes on the tattoo depending on whether you're soft or hard.
It would extend it like a slinky.
You get a good-looking person when it's hard, but then when it's soft and wrinkly, it looks like an old person when it's...
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
That's not appealing to me whatsoever, and I'm never getting tattoos in that area.
What about piercings?
No piercings. Oh. No, you freaks are on your own.
Don't you want to experience the pleasure?
Pass.
I'm going to go with tiers. Very brief tiers for the goal review system, and this is a year-long tiers because it's not getting any better. We are like 7 rounds into the season, and I reckon the strike rate is about 50% correct, 50% not. And the AFL continue to just say, oh, they got it right, and they come up with anything they can to justify it. It's just like, how does the person in the box get it wrong as often as they do, is what baffles me. And I'm not going to be one of those wankers who says that a goal in the second quarter cost Sydney the game, because that's bullshit. It's the same as umpiring decisions. But that probably should have been overturned. And then there's been a couple of other ones this year that are just like, the Sydney-Geelong game where Sydney only kicked 1 goal and a half of football. But yeah, am I alone on this?
Yes, you're alone.
So you like the goal review as it's being adjudicated currently? You think they're getting it right? And
I think it was adjudicated perfectly in the North Sydney game. But they did absolutely.
Well, I
you don't let your bias come out, Dan.
Yeah. I think the calls to get rid of it are a bit premature.
They're a bit premature, yes.
Clearly, you want the system in place to be able to deal with the howlers.
The Tom Hawkins goal, basically.
Yeah, and so getting rid of the system would just go back to a scenario where you get an absolute howler and there's nothing you can do about it. But those sort of Tiggy Touchwood touched off the boot, did the fingers bend back, and you're trying to assess that with like standard definition, low quality footage that's missing. It's always missing like 1 or 2 frames. Even the ones on the goal line, you find so often it's missing 1 or 2 frames to tell you exactly when it was. And yeah, so those ones, it's probably not being done correctly, but don't get rid of the system just because.
I can live with inconclusive umpires call the same way they do with the cricket, where they just go, look, if it's not definitive, let's go back to that. But they, like, early in the season, they were overturning so many ones that there was clearly nothing on. It's just like, if that was how you adjudicated it all year, fine. But that's not how they did it to start.
I also have some goo. I've goo for whoever in Philadelphia decided that getting into overtime required a confetti shower. Reaching overtime in a semi-final playoff doesn't require confetti. Even if you won, it doesn't require confetti because you're still, if you did win, you're 2-1 down. Now you're 3-0 down and we had to clean the court for 7 minutes because you're a bunch of quits. And Ben Simmons has been fucking horrendous. The end.
Let's go to the recaps. Very lengthy goo of tears there, but, you know, it was fun. And there's not much football to talk about this week, I think. Some of the games were fairly average, but we'll begin with the best game of the round, which was the last game of the round, and a highly surprising best game of the round. You wouldn't have thought so going into this week. You would have thought Collingwood were much easier, but they only just got over the line against the Bryans, thanks to Pendlebury's handballing, I think.
Yeah, apparently, according to Carol. Thanks, Carol. What a shootout it was. An amazing display of goal kicking. And so high scoring. So lethality would have to be happy with that.
You'd think so.
Yeah, wow.
I just hope no women were harmed at the ground.
I didn't watch it live because we had to go out for dinner, so I decided I didn't want to know the score at all for the whole day. But I asked NL if one player kicked a goal, because on the Collingwood board, I'm in a goal kicking thing. And so I needed Jaden Stevenson to kick a goal. And I said to him, does Jaden Stevenson kick a goal? And he says, yes, 2. So for the whole fucking game when he kicked 1, and for the last 2 minutes when he still only had 1, I knew we won. Because he still had to kick another fucking goal.
So what you're saying is NL spoiled the result for you?
He spoiled the result that I hid for 7 hours.
That's
7 hours. I delayed it. And all I said was, does he kick a goal? And he said yes too.
That's giving an answer that you didn't need. It was a yes or no question. He gave you more information than you asked for. I thought it was only 1, and I thought, that's stiff, because, you know, how do you avoid that? But, yes, 2. Not that he's to know it was the last goal.
No, he kicked 2. And I kept going all through the game. I'm like, at least we kicked 2 more goals than this. And then it was, at least we kicked 1 more goal. And there was 2 minutes to go, and I was like, well, at least we win. Shattered, and he felt so bad. So bad. It's pretty funny. It was good to see Darcy Moore kick a goal from the boundary where he didn't turn side on, and he just kicked a drop punt. It was like very nice to watch a footballer kick the ball like a footballer should. Did nothing else, but take that. Geordie De Goey, 5 goals, elite.
Yeah, he's going to be good for you at North next year, Dan.
Yeah. Well, he's just bumping up his price.
I haven't heard anything about that. What's that about?
He's out of contract.
Yeah, he's out of contract.
Well, I heard North were going after McGovern.
Apparently you're not.
You need a mid.
Yeah, I would rather go than McGovern, but McGovern is still elite. I would have him at...
You wouldn't not take him, but I think that you'd take a goal-kicking mid over a fucking guy who you don't know if he's looking at you.
Speaking of players who are going to be playing well at other clubs next year, Cam Rayner did all right.
Yes, he finished off the game quite well.
Looked very good.
The prodigal sons that have to come back home to Victoria because they're sad.
Yeah, he was good. Zorko was good. We played him into form because we don't tag.
Lewis Taylor kicked 4. Is he like no longer a crab or what?
No,
well, he's still a crab, but they played him. They played him a lot further forward.
Yeah, occasionally some crabs look like lobsters. Occasionally.
That's good, Dan. That's good.
That could be like some wise Chinese proverb or something. Even the smallest crab can have the strength of the mighty lobster or something.
Maybe if you got a crab tattooed on your dick when it was soft, and it looked like a lobster when it's hard.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it's lobster time.
What's for dinner? Lobster.
There were a few other things out of this game. The Bryans picked the recruit, Matt Eagles.
Oh, I noticed
Yeah,
that.
he
Looked all right.
He wasn't bad.
He wasn't bad. I think, and the thing is, I think he could get better because there were a couple of marks he flew for that he really should have taken. That you'd probably level down. You might take him, but maybe inferred pressure. But he didn't disgrace himself. Didn't look out of place for a first game.
He was all right. I just feel really bad for them that they lost to us, thinking that they were our rival. Like,
I don't think the players think that.
I haven't seen Penal since.
You must be Devo. It'd be like if you lost to, well, not the Bryans, but someone you actually care about losing to. Carlton.
Yeah. But yeah, Chris Mayne wasn't awful. He wasn't completely awful. Jared Blair was still the worst on the ground. Mason Cox was all right. Took big marks in the last few minutes.
A couple. The corner is slowly turning with him, I think.
I think so too.
Turning about as quick as he does, but still turning.
Well, that's all right. He's played 20 games or something. 30 games, I think. Yeah, whatever.
That's the thing. When you're that big, all it's going to take is a little. It just once it clicks, and then you could be fucking dangerous.
The thing is, at the absolute end of the game, he is dangerous because you only get more tired and he doesn't get any shorter.
Yeah, that's what they said on, I think, 360.
Yeah.
The big guys
Big men don't get any smaller.
Yeah.
And
I'm sick of that line being repeated like 15 times every game, every time a big bloke takes a mark in the last quarter.
Well,
like they do it with McAvoy, Gawn, everyone. Any sort of ruckman or key forward over about 6'4", they just trot out the line every time they take a mark in the last quarter.
Yeah, but if you're playing on him and he's 7 foot tall and you're stuffed, doesn't make it easier.
Yeah, you got to trying to get that leap.
It doesn't mean the commentators need to point out big blokes don't get any smaller, as if we don't already know that.
I feel there's a tattoo joke in there.
Big lobsters don't get any smaller. Well, at least they do. Anyway, whatever. We won. To the Collingwood posters who are like, 3 games in 11 days, blah, blah, wank. Wank, wank, wank. We went there, we got the win, we came home. We don't need to fucking be gooing about it. That's embarrassing. We beat Brisbane, who haven't won.
That said, I did feel for Brisbane. They seem to be. I think this is what we talked about with them earlier this year.
It's exactly what we discussed. They're competitive.
They're getting there, but it's just like they've lost 3 by less than a kick. They're getting close. They just can't. They just don't.
They don't know how to win yet, and they will learn to win. Even North have learned to win the close ones. I was on the AFL website, and it said North have won their last 9 games when leading at 3/4 time. I was like, what?
Because they lost about 9 in a row.
Exactly right. So now they've learned to win the close ones. So it's interesting. Brisbane will too.
There's more to like about Brisbane than, say, Carlton or
Essendon.
Even St Kilda at the moment, Cookie. Speaking of North, let's go to North and Sydney, which was probably the next best game of the round. It was close. It was hard. It was poor kicking, unlike the Collingwood-Brisbane game. But
it wasn't the best game of footy to watch, but the result was satisfying.
It was an okay game to watch. I don't think it was that terrible. Like, the low scoring didn't help and the skill level was poor, but I think
it was a very okay game to watch. But
Swans footy. It was typical Sydney slog game.
Well, then they need to come up with a different style because it doesn't win them games at the SCG anymore. 3 of 4 they've lost there this year.
They seem to have tailored their game style perfectly for shit old stadiums, but nowhere else.
Cola's cheat ground is Geelong. They need to relocate.
Where was all the Sydney supporters? Is it because Buddy's not there and they were like, we'll just
Buddy
watch.
was there. They cheered when he appeared on the screen.
That was the only time they cheered.
Kenny got caught picking his nose on camera.
DB Swanee's son was crying next to him.
Some Swan supporter was having his girlfriend apply blush to him in the stands.
Oh, is that what that video was?
Yeah.
If he was getting a blush applied to his face, you sure she was his girlfriend?
Yeah, it probably was his sister.
It's makeup artist.
I'll say it could be a lady with a dick knowing Sydney, but
it's not Bomber Thompson.
Ben Brown didn't kick 4 goals.
Mason Wood was great.
Wood kicked 4.
There's
Sammy
not
Wright
really much
came back.
to talk about regarding
Sammy
the game.
Wright from Catamatite.
He played his first game in 700 odd days. And it's the first game he's played since Boomer retired, I think. So, even if they lost, he wouldn't have got blamed at least. But, North played well. The Swans are concerning because really this falls into the fact they lost the undermanned Crows up there. They really only played 1 quarter against the Cats. They are a pretty one-dimensional average team that can, if it clicks, play really well. But without Buddy, they just looked really impotent up forward on the smaller ground.
So they're a one-man team.
I'm saying that if Buddy doesn't come back and start lighting it up, they won't play finals.
Do they rely too much on their Kohler forward that they offered 10 years for some late 20-year-old?
Yeah, but I don't think that's a secret. I think we all know that.
No, it's not a secret. It's everyone knows about it. They're a rule of the club.
Like they've got Sinclair playing career best football in the ruck, which they wouldn't have even anticipated at the start of the year, and yet the midfield isn't getting it done for them. Everyone says, "Oh, Sydney never bottom out." Looking at that list, the bottom might be closer than the top.
Oh, because once Josh Kennedy goes, then that midfield is threadbare. You don't want to be relying on fucking Parker and Quad Strikes Hannahs to do the heavy lifting for you.
No.
And Kieran Jack is fucking shit. Even his parents hate him.
Yeah.
Who'd be the front runner at this stage in the should have retired last year?
Hodge.
Yeah.
You can't say Hodge because he's not there for his on-field ability.
No.
He
Yes, you can.
Isn't.
You can say Hodge because he shouldn't have
As
gone
somebody
around.
who watched his on-field ability yesterday, he wouldn't want to be there for it.
I watched his on-field ability a lot last year, and it wasn't. He got retired for a reason, and yeah.
Let's just discount Hodge because he's the obvious clubhouse leader, but I think Kieran Jack is next.
He stunk it up yesterday.
Let's move on if we've got nothing else on that. We're almost into games that don't matter, but we will talk about the Giants being absolutely disappointing at the cheat ground. 4 goals. They got outscored by Fremantle this week.
John, the General Patton, got outmarked by a 7-year-old girl.
He had an all-time stinker, didn't he?
Yeah.
Dylan Shields also been really crap this year as well.
The Giants have injuries, but I think that's an excuse at the moment because they don't work hard enough. With all the talent that they have, they should be doing better than they are, but there is clearly not the desire that Richmond have or that even Collingwood have this year to actually apply pressure to work defensively, to work as a team. The whole team of champions versus champion team thing's happening at the moment, and they need to fix that.
That Tim Kelly guy, he looks pretty good. Good pick up by the Cats, though.
Yeah, but he was hiding in plain sight. State League footballers, just like Lambert at Richmond, just like Barlow at Freo. They're there if you're prepared to do it. But yeah, like Geelong's still missing a whole bunch of players, and it didn't matter.
Very shit Friday night game. Just
I didn't see it at all.
Boring.
Lockie Keefe played his first game back since his suspension.
How'd he go?
I didn't watch it. It doesn't look like I missed much.
No, Hawkins shoved an umpire.
So is he going to the tribunal tomorrow, or?
Yeah, what's still with that?
Well, they're sending him there to get it assessed, and there's he didn't accidentally do it. He pushed the umpire's hand out.
No, that was no accident. He actually initiated the contact.
Yeah. So you would think, as soft as it is, you would think he's still.
What did Greg Williams get when he shoved the umpire?
9 weeks.
9 weeks.
Well, in a different age.
Given this wasn't a shove, I would say this is probably 3 or 4 weeks.
3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Fuck.
It's harsh but fair.
Well,
this is the biggest.
Does Geelong a favour, doesn't it?
No. In professional sport, you do not put your hands on the umpire in an aggressive manner.
Unless you're Hawthorn and you put your arms around him in the team song after the game.
That's 100% non-aggressive, but also non-sexual. Very, very friendly demeanour.
No homo.
But
all homo.
Razor Ray puts his
48%.
Razor Ray puts his hands on players' asses all the time, so I don't know, maybe Hawkins just wanted to give him a little bit of love back.
Razor puts his hand on their asses because he's got a sticker on his hand with his number on it, just sticks it on the back of their shorts. Razor.
But I think he's got to get a suspension for it.
He has to get
a fine, because I think if you were to say this is only a fine, you would start having players try and push the limits of what they can and can't do to an umpire.
Yeah, and then you'll end up with some dickhead like James Sicily full on putting one on his ass because of it.
What can I say? It's worth the price of admission.
No, he's not. He's a douchebag, and I don't want to see him play ever.
Anything else out of that game?
No, it was a very uneventful sort of shitty Friday night game.
Yeah, but at least it wasn't Carlton, and yet we still got about as...
Well, at least
Probably would have preferred Carlton, to be honest.
Not on the way they played. Adelaide belted them.
At least Carlton kicked more than 4 goals.
Mm-hmm. They did. Before half-time too, but I think they only kicked the one afterwards.
Well, they tried.
We'll go to Carlton versus Adelaide. Yeah, they tried, but they're just not very good at football. I did not watch any... Obviously, this was the same time as North Sydney, so there was only one game I was watching.
Yeah, I didn't watch this game at all.
I saw a few minutes when North Sydney went to half-time.
I watched it at the same time as I watched the A-League Grand Final. Oh, yeah, good for that too. I watched it at the same time.
Yeah, but they needed a review for that.
Oh, yeah, whoops. Oh, well, you can't take the cup back. It's not Melbourne Storm. And, it was a pretty uneventful game.
Anything else on Crows versus Carlton?
Apparently Bolts was still optimistic.
Oh, that guy, you cannot wipe the smile off that man's face. The sad thing is he's going to be a broken man by the time Carlton are done with him. You just know how bad that club is, because by the time he leaves, he will be a broken man. He'll be shattered, and he's just still upbeat now.
At some point, you go through the presses and you do a montage, and it'll be like the Ralph Wiggum thing. You can actually pinpoint the time where his heart breaks, and it'll probably be like footage of a Levi Casbolt missed shot at goal, and then there's pan to footage of Bolton in the box, and he's just wants to give it all up.
To do the Simpsons reference, he's got the Darryl Strawberry single tear rolling down his cheek. Yeah, that game didn't matter. Let's go to Eagles Puffers. West Coast made a bit of a statement at home. They played pretty well. They're looking like a legitimate 6-1 team. That doesn't look like a fluke.
Looking really bad for the Spoon.
Yeah, I picked North for the Spoon too. I'm looking great. So, did anyone actually pick a Spoon contender? Anyone still in the race for that?
I think I picked Brisbane.
I forget who I tipped for the Spoon.
No.
I think I tipped...
When that wasn't Carlton. You tipped him for the flag.
No, oh yeah, shit. That was genius, wasn't it? Yeah, I probably tipped Brisbane.
You probably tipped fucking Richmond.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I could have. I honestly...
Hang on, did Dan tip Carlton for the flag and the Spoon? Did you have a bit each way?
I did, yes. Thank you.
No,
yes, I did.
He tipped them for the flag, but he tipped them as these faller.
Oh, whatever it was, yeah, it was something fucking stupid
I think Starburns is right. I think I went each way. I went for the Spoon and the Premiership.
You only tipped him for the flag because you've still got this notion in your head that Richmond just fluked it.
Well, they did. That's not a notion. That's fact.
It's a notion. We fluked it. We're fucking... I'm not getting into it, but we are 7-1 at the moment.
No, go on, get into it. Have your 800%.
No,
go on.
No, I don't want to. Oh, why did I trigger your autism?
Go on. You can
no,
do it.
no. You're gonna
get tipped by North this week.
We're on West Coast. That we'll come to that at tips time.
You look very tired and sore. I think Ben Jacobs is going to give Trent Cotchin the scare of his life. Oh no, not you again.
West Coast versus Port.
Natanui got suspended for 1 week for a dangerous tackle, which is an absolute disgrace of a decision. He should have got 3 weeks of that.
They will challenge this, and I'm very curious to see how it turns out, because what else is he meant to... Everyone's saying he's meant to turn him, but if he turns him, the guy's still probably going to land on his head and it'll be the same situation. Like, what else is he meant to do? Especially when Burton gets off on the bump. I don't know. It just feels wrong.
Yeah, I can only hope that they do challenge it and that the tribunal shows some common sense and says, whack, 3 weeks.
Are you playing him in 3 weeks?
Yep.
Yeah, we're playing him in 2, so 2 would be handy for us as well. But, because he is a difference maker.
I'm just hoping that Hawkins gets at least a week.
Well, Well, that should happen. Like that would be Geelong getting looked after again if Hawkins got off, I think. But Nat Nui probably deserves to get off. Like it's just one of those ones where what else is the guy meant to do in that situation? You can't make a reasonable case as to what else he could do for that. Because even one of the arms is free, but I digress. You should check out the Port Matchday thread if you missed it. They seem to feel that the umpires were out to get them this week, and it's quite amusing. But, yeah, I think West Coast are clearly a legitimate top 8 team. Port couldn't beat them.
West Coast are probably going to be top 4, and probably are playing the best footy in the league. Or at least the most aesthetically pleasing.
I don't know about that, but anyway.
I don't know about it on the other front, but whatever. If they go to top 4 and they get the home final, they could find their way to the grand final where one of the Victorian clubs, hopefully Richmond, gets to play them on our cheat ground and get...
Oh, and then it'll be another off-season full of tears.
Another off-season of tears.
It'll be better if they finish on the top of the ladder as well.
That said, they are 6-1, but they've played like 5 games in Perth, I think, or something.
Yeah. Well, they're not going to lose too many games at their new cheat ground. So, you know, if they win enough games on the road, which they're already 2 from 2 or something, yeah, then lock it in top 4, if not top 2.
They actually do look all right. They look fairly well covered in most areas, but Nat Nui makes that midfield look good. Anything else?
Turn your microphone up there. It's the second time I've had to tell you this. Why are you whispering, Starburns?
Shut up, Dan. I'm not whispering. I'm not going to talk any louder because it's going to get it's going to fuck up the recording volume because it's coming through perfectly fine on the recording.
Yeah, perfectly fine. We wouldn't want to ruin this podcast, would we?
Well, I'd rather you heard me weakly than get all distorted on the recording again.
How does you speaking louder get all distorted?
Oh, because the last time it was like he was fucking yelling.
Yeah.
Not the only thing getting disordered.
Yeah. Let's move on before Dan's autism gets tricked again.
You sound like those golf commentators on the green. They're whispering, like he's on the ninth now. He's about to putt.
Shut up, Dan.
Speaking very softly, quietly.
The Dogs held on in Ballarat for their first win on Mars.
This was a close game, but boy, oh boy, it was shit to watch.
It was an ugly, ugly spectacle.
It still wasn't even the worst game on during that day, which is surprising, but god damn. Apart from McRae, there's nothing really.
They're missing their key forward, they're missing their key defender, and the Dogs could barely get over the line against them, so that says a fair bit. But the Suns will probably rue this loss, I think, because they're not playing terrible football, but you know, a game like this would have done them a world of good to win without their stars on the road. But Dogs are bottom 4 calibre, I think.
Because, well, they still haven't played a game at home, right? It's just hard to get a sense of where they're at because of that weird trip to Perth. And
they'll be at China next week, I think.
Yeah.
Let's go to Hawthorn continuing Essendon's misery.
Oh my god, the first half of this game was the worst football of this year, and that's saying something.
And that's coming from a St Kilda supporter, so he's an expert in bad football. Yeah, can't actually argue with that. This game was definitely lacking in the highlights department. I think the aforementioned Sicily high five to Danaher was probably the only highlight, except for Tom Mitchell living every boy's dream and kicking a goal after the siren.
See, that's another one where goal review would be handy. But I love the salt over that as though it was going to make a difference. Essendon were 5 or 6 goals down at the time, wasn't it?
Yeah, they weren't going to win.
No. Certainly not the way they were playing.
I've seen replays of that. I thought it was pretty simultaneous. The siren and getting the ball on the boot. I didn't think it was after the siren.
Neither did the umpire, clearly. I don't know much out of this game. Look, Jake Stringer is proof that you don't need to be a child star or a gymnast to be washed up by the age of 22.
Heppel's the worst captain in the league, confirmed.
Is he worse than Andrew Swallow was for all time? Worse?
Well, is it worse to be known or worse to be not being able to be picked out by your own supporters? Like, who is Jaron Geary?
Pretty sure he's just an alias.
Is Jaron Geary St Kilda's captain?
Yes, that's an actual fact.
Cookson, what is your club doing?
Well, they could give it to Hugh Goddard because they won't play him.
He is their next captain, though, eventually.
Nathan, give it to Nathan Freeman. Can't go wrong there.
Hey, we're hearing noise. Will it finally happen?
I've heard these rumblings before, and
exactly
it never
right.
led to an earthquake.
Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me
18 times?
Fool
Shame
man
on
can't
you
get
again.
fooled again.
Okay, George Bush.
Actually, Goddard should be one of those players also who's played on a year too long. He's turned into a chip scab. Or leave a
I
bigger
thought you
one.
were talking about Hugh.
Are we still talking about Hugh?
Are you talking about the pointer?
The angry Rango one.
Yeah, if we're still on the fucking Essendon game, it's hard to imagine a fucking more overrated footballer going around at the moment than Michael Hurley. Like, he doesn't play on anyone. He just racks up cheapies in the back line like his fucking Ranger mate Goddard. And I just don't know what the point of him is, yet somehow he's fucking all-Australian quality defender, and Bomber Frogs think he's as good as Rance, which he's not even as good as James Sicily.
He's basically Nick Maxwell with slightly better skills.
He does the Sicily role of unaccountability. Every team has that player that plays a loose role.
But Essendon have two, like they're unique in that. They've got Hurley and Goddard.
That's one too many.
Every club has players who play loose roles, but if you're talking about, say, Rance or Gibson, they
brought something else.
They get released loose, but when the time comes, they actually can play the opponent if need be.
And Sicily's shown he belongs in that category as well.
Even Jeremy Howe can play on an opponent.
Yeah.
And he was supposed to just be a highlight reel, third man up. He can play on an opponent.
You've got to be able to do both.
Yeah, Michael Hurley is like in the Mark Blixard category of what the fuck is the point of playing this guy?
Hurley needs to get back that physicality he had when he was beating up the cabbie. Stop playing loose. But their midfields, well, I've said this the other week.
Third round.
Oh, sorry, I was supposed to be on mute. I'm making cookies.
Oh, I thought that was the start of the boxing round. Sorry.
No.
What type of cookies?
Caramel. Because I got caramel.
You
and
kept
I figured
with the plastics in it?
Yes, of course
so
you
I'm
did.
Cook it, so at least it melts.
She's going to pick the plastic out with a fucking sieve, yeah?
Yeah, I'm going to put it through the sifter. Well, I thought it was a really good idea to keep this chocolate, but it's not that impressive, I've come to find out.
I've never tried it. Is it what is it? Is it caramel, is it? Caramel chocolate.
So it's like white, but it's creamier. It's nice, but like I'd much rather plain.
Okay. And they used to make it in like the 90s or early 2000s, is that right?
I think they have it in New Zealand. Penal, can you check?
Send some over.
And send some pineapple lumps.
You can start exporting caramel to Australia, baby formula to China, caramel to Australia. Nah, but on Essendon, said it before, midfield's vanilla.
They're going to have another, top 5 pick probably, and use that on another halfback flanker.
No,
Nice.
just another blonde midfielder who plays outside, but doesn't really have great skills or great pace. I got nothing else on this. Hawthorn, look, they're 5'2".
Why does Kennett, he came out and said, Clarko needs to earn his next contract
I love
extension. Why is he retarded?
Kennett's just like...
The guy constantly shits on the coach all the time. I think it's fantastic. And he has no reason to do it with Hawthorn's record, but he keeps shitting on him.
He's like the Dan of Hawthorn. He cannot help himself.
I couldn't have put it better myself. I think he just wants the attention. Just wants to get his name out there in the press and give people something to talk about him for.
Why the Clarkson angle, though?
Because he knows that'll get a reaction from people that'll take him too seriously and just...
like Clarko.
I bet that behind closed doors, in private, they have a wonderful relationship.
I bet behind closed doors,
Clarko
punches the walls. Clarko one day is going to punch the living fuck out of Jeff. To be like, cunt, I have won you 4 flags. What more do you want?
I think that's more likely.
Seriously. The guy's done everything you could possibly ask of him. Why are you doing this? It's really funny.
It's just like, yes, thank you for all your hard work, Al, but you know what? We're not going to give you You don't get a contract extension because
you have to earn it.
you have to earn. We didn't four-peat, okay?
Actually, maybe Kenneth's got like a case of the Donald Trump factor where he believes that he's the only person competent enough to do anything, so he's gonna like make himself slowly over time give himself all the roles at the football club, from matchday coach to recruiter to fucking receptionist lady.
No. You know what's going to happen? I can't wait until he goes full Eddie and knifes Clarko for Luke Hodge as coach.
Oh, the succession plan.
Sam Mitchell, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, okay. If I ever hear the word succession plan out of Kenneth's mouth, I'll know in that moment to panic.
Jeff does need to shut up, though. He's talking about how the stain on the game that comes from sports betting ads. It's just like, whilst Hawthorn persists with the love the game, not the odds banner, whilst they fleece how many millions of pokey dollars, is it?
Not enough.
Oh, I love it. Jeff, he knows there's hypocrisy. He just does not give a fuck.
I used to be on the fence about this, but I agree with Jeff's viewpoint that the pokies are a good thing for society because it's better for complete fucking losers to be gambling away their dollars at the pokies instead of sitting at home and beating their wives or... I'm pretty sure that or something close to it were words that came out of Jeff's mouth at some point about pokies.
Or beating up their presidents.
Well, I guess when Clarko does eventually get knifed for Hodge, I think Jeff's just gonna lock him in a fucking pokies venue so that he doesn't come after him.
Nothing else on this game. Melbourne continued St Kilda's woes. Jesse Hogan staged and did not get fined or anything, which is a disgrace again. It seems everything's been pretty bad this week on that front.
Same old St Kilda game. Bad kicking. Players get depressed. Opposition kicks a few goals in a row. We stage a little comeback, then we shank another easy goal chance, and the opposition rape us in the arse, and then we go home depressed.
You forgot McCartan gets knocked out.
He didn't get knocked out this time. He didn't get knocked out. He had a sore jaw, but no knockout.
I think that's just spin, to be honest.
Yeah, either way, he's out to the next. God knows how long. Ben Long's injured. Fuck this season. I was so optimistic.
Well, don't start crying or something. I mean, pull it together.
I think the players were crying, as apparently they're all depressed.
Well, actually, another thing. Jack Billings, stop shitting your fucking pants. Useless twat.
Better than Bont.
It's not even better than...
Hugh Goddard.
Nathan
He
Freeman.
shows heart. Hey, Freeman shows heart.
Freeman doesn't show heart. When the going got too tough, he had to leave the club because he didn't want to have to compete with the other mids that were there. That's not showing heart. That's being a coward.
Hey, he's showing heart from coming back and having his hamstrings suspended. Either way, we're shit. We're better than Carlton and Brisbane. There's at least 2 positives.
I don't think you can definitively say you're better than Brisbane.
No.
We beat...
No, you're not.
Yeah, that was round 1, long time ago.
At your cheat ground.
I thought did occur to me, just quietly. St Kilda do love a good Jack, don't they? And just the way this year's shaking out, do you reckon there's a chance you take Jack Silvani at the end of the year when he gets shipped off from Carlton?
Nah.
No?
There's no way Sauce is going to trade his own son. Not happening.
We'll get other Jacks.
Jack off.
The funniest thing I saw about Jack this week is apparently his nickname is Sodge.
Ew. Son of Joe.
Son of Joe. And that came to mind because someone mentioned he plays football more like Joe than Stephen. And it's just like, well, the nickname they gave him because they couldn't give him Sauce was Sodge. So how prophetic a nickname is that? They called him Sodge. He played like Sodge. It's the last game of the round. Richmond bullied Freo. We won by 77 points. Fife was very, very good.
We can't hear you.
See, I'm not just being a dick. We really can't hear you.
Shut up, Dan. We won by 77 points. Fife was very good. Got the 3 votes. According to Robert Walls, Freo got all the votes.
Nice didgeridoo.
You done, Dan?
I don't get the relevance of it. Nathan Drummond didn't play in this game.
Oh, yeah. I was trying to be subtle, but then you have to bring in the ranger.
Yeah, apparently Robert Walls, this is the one discussion point I got out of this game. Apparently in a 77-point loss, Robert Walls couldn't find a vote for a Richmond player. It was a 77-point win.
What votes are these?
He gave a 3-2-1, and he gave 5-3, which was, honestly, if you watch the game, was deserved. But then he gave 2 to Sandlands and 1 to Neil.
Are these like in the paper or the AFL website or what? What are these?
I think the age.
How could he not give a Richmond player
He
votes?
basically contextualised it on AFL Tonight as saying Freo had 3 very good players and 19 passengers.
They lost by 70-something points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He basically said Richmond are a very good team and Freo had 3 outstanding players and 19 shit ones. But it's very, very weird.
Does he have some sort of animosity towards Richmond?
I don't think so. I think he's just senile.
Yeah, probably.
In the 77-point loss, Fife should have got 3 votes. He was outstanding.
Well, Fife did have a run in the ruck, and Sandlands is a ruckman, so that explains those 2. But I'm struggling to see the 1 vote for Neil.
Might have got a hit out at some stage. There were some very interesting ruck contests going on.
Richmond were missing their ruckman, Sean Green.
Yeah, our premiership ruckman was out, so they didn't pick a second ruckman either. So there was like times where it was like Caddy versus Fife, or there were some very interesting centre bounces. But yeah, not much out of this game really. That was the most interesting thing, was that Robert Walls couldn't find a Richmond player in the best 3. Let's go to the talking points. We'll stay on Freo, and we'll go back to the whole Ross Lyon thing. The eventual quote, the budding boobs. What do we got on this?
I'd like to see the boobs in question first.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can't because she was 2 months pregnant at the time, so you'd have to knock her up.
Oh, well, maybe they were, as he put it. I mean,
Budding.
It's inappropriate, but if that's all he said, then
No, apparently he was like, he's followed her around the rest of the night.
Okay, well then that's creepy. I mean, that's just weird. A bit like strangers touching your teeth or something. So yeah, he's gone into hush mode. He gets asked questions at press conferences and he won't dig into it. Yeah,
it is quite amusing just how that he's paid all this money and that they're standing by him. It's just like fucking.
He's not even the type of coach worth standing by.
No,
I mean, he's done nothing for them. I mean, now's the time to cut clean and get it.
Yeah,
maybe they are going.
Like, if this were Clarkson involved in this sort of a scandal, I mean, I'm pretty sure Jeff, who is Clarkson's best mate, don't believe the fucking lies these guys spread, would be calling in some of his like Melbourne gangland underworld figure mates to just silence that bitch permanently, like.
Get Jake King on to the case.
You would move heaven and earth to make sure that Clarkson's good name is not tarnished any further than it already is by his fucking rage outbursts. But Ross Lyon, he's not worth protecting.
No.
So when do we think Ross Lyon will show up at Carlton?
I think it's a homecoming. I think he comes back to St Kilda and Richo gets sacked. All's forgiven. Be like Gruden going back to the Raiders.
10-year contract. Woo.
And you know what? At St Kilda, he can say whatever he likes about budding boobs.
Yeah, at St Kilda, we won't hang you out to dry for that sort of thing.
We'll build a statue of you.
Well, no, because all the school girls have budding boobs.
Wrong.
If he says it at St Kilda, he could be talking to Paddy McCartan, so he's at least.
But then he might get depressed cooking.
Well, then he could just eat another fucking Big Mac.
Speaking of relationships and such, because Dan's here, I think we'll ask the question of Dan. You're the expert on this matter. What about Bomber Thompson? The pictures have emerged of his Thai friend. Have you seen them, Dan?
Hang on, before we even get into this, why am I an expert in
Well, you have a lot to say on the matter.
The matter of what specifically?
Chicks with dicks.
Well, hang on, that's a really bad generalisation on Thai women. Not all of them are trannies.
Okay, tell us more.
Okay.
No, but this one is.
Yeah, this one, the Bomber's seeing a ladyboy.
Is it no? No, hang on.
Yes, no.
I've seen the photo of the Thai person and Bomber, but is the Thai person a ladyboy?
Apparently
Well, no
so.
one's checked, Dan.
Well, obviously.
And how am I even an expert in this?
Why are you biting at this?
Well, because Starburns is asking me a stupid question.
Yeah, so tell him to get fucked.
Well, Starburns, get fucked. You little midget who can't speak up to the microphone. Shut up.
Jesus.
Okay, but do we have anything on Bomber's ladyboy?
No, do we have any experts on here?
Get fucked.
Ladyboy activity?
Dan, if you're going to tell him to get fucked, you don't bite again. Jesus.
Okay, alright, sorry.
Worth it. Let's talk about another tournament, which is when Morgs Pies play Cookie Saints, they will be on a different channel, in Channel 7, because they've been shafted for the royal fucking wedding again.
Oh, really? That's great. I might stay home and watch
married?
the wedding. Who's getting married? Your brother, the ginger. Did you not get an invite? I thought all gingers were invited.
You know what? He could be Dan's brother.
Dan,
the parentage is unknown.
What happens when a ranger marries a black person, Dan?
The kid has a very hard life. The worst. The hardest life you could have. A red-headed black female that wants to be a man. Or vice versa. Tough.
More problems than the elephant man.
But yeah, no, the royal wedding's on instead of the football, so hooray.
Oh, well. I'll be there, so it won't worry me, because I actually turn up, so who gives a fuck?
Well, for us neutrals, it's slightly annoying, although I'm sure Fox Footy won't be showing the wedding, but you never fucking know in this day and age.
Well, I had a look online, and there's about 9 Foxtel channels showing the wedding. It's on it's on UK, it's on fucking BBC, it's everywhere.
One for each camera angle, I guess.
Yeah, I was going to say if they got press red for Lizzie.
No, press red for that Royal Butler cunt that's not doing anything anymore. Paul Burrell. Press red for Paul Burrell.
Coming in his commentary. Now, we know he's not really a royal because his dad's not Charles.
He'll come in and be like, I was just in the jungle, guys. Did anybody watch I'm a Celebrity? That was embarrassing.
I only heard about parts of it.
Oh, they got John Edward to come in and talk about, somebody you love died in a car accident.
I'm sensing this.
It's like, you don't have to be fucking psychic to know that.
Next talking point. James said's pointing fingers again. Had no help at Essendon. Got left alone. Woe is me.
This is why we became drug runners.
Full responsibility. Remember that quote?
At all times, yeah.
Yes. Taking full responsibility all the way.
I was just about James Hird crying about, oh, woe me, Essendon didn't stick up for the bullshit that he was going on about.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, no wonder they didn't stick up for you, because you're responsible for the darkest day in that club's history, dickhead.
It's a sporting history. Australia's sporting history.
Until Steve Smith
They
came
nearly
along.
sunk the club, mate. You don't. The guy at the Costa Concordia didn't get fucking his annual leave paid out.
Stick to your chocolate-making depressed ways from now on, Jimmy, and stay out of the limelight.
I'm amazed that something like this comes out and James has to speak up. It's like, fucking hell. Dude, if you want to be left alone...
Complaining about the club and sticking up for Mark Thompson after his drug bust is not going to paint you in a good light.
But if everything was so bad because of all the media attention, all the shit he was copping after that saga, it's like, surely you don't just speak up and give people more ammunition. It's just like, he's like you, Dan. He can't help but bite.
Dan is actually James Hird. That's the player he's supposed to be. Because he provides young men with things they should be having.
Endangers their health.
Endangers the health of young men. Dan and James Hird. Same.
That's a shitty comparison.
You sold the kid cigarette. No. You gave the kid get cigarettes. You purchased cigarettes for a kid.
I think it works.
Oh, well, there's some aspects of it that are not too bad. I mean, the whole Mick and Gale thing would be all right. The rendezvous in France. Like I can't make chocolates. And I
don't think he makes them. He doesn't make them, Dan.
I thought that's what he does. He makes chocolates himself.
He doesn't make it, you idiot. He's not Willy Wonka.
Oh, Willy Wonka didn't make chocolates. He had the Oompa Loompas do that for him.
James is the Oompa Loompa with the tanning dry.
He doesn't make them. He just sells them.
Well, I was under the impression that he was making the chocolates and then it was like his little hobby thing. Whatever. I don't know. It's James Hurd. He's a strange individual.
You're a strange individual.
Morgs makes chocolate, you know. Caramel.
I'm making chocolate right now. Fucking Dan thought he made the chocolate.
Why is that such a stretch? I don't
It's probably because Job made the coffees, and so it's just drawing a line between the two.
Well, the article I read about this regarding James Hurd and the chocolate business must have been
misleading.
Oh, so now it's the article's
Yeah, Dan's
fault.
pointing fingers like Hurd.
Never taking responsibility for your own failings.
Well, why would he sell someone else's chocolate then? Why would he?
He imports it because he's very good at that sort of thing.
He sells the product. He's not a fucking baker.
I don't know. I mean, why do people make drugs and why do people do things that...
Bomber, here's a newsflash. Bomber wasn't making the drugs either.
That's not the comparison I was going with. I mean, okay, whatever. Fine.
Love when you get shitty with me, Dan, like I've done something wrong.
It's your fault.
I thought that was... No, I honestly thought the whole James Hurd chocolate thing was him actually making the chocolates himself. I thought that was common knowledge.
Yeah, that's why we're laughing at you.
Bitch.
Again, my fault, not yours. Sorry for you being wrong.
It's not even that funny, the fact that it's even wrong. I mean, so what? Big deal.
It's a little bit fun. Anything else on Hurd?
He's a great guy. I think he's had it tough. We need to
Open yourself up. Leave Jimmy alone.
Let's go real quickly to news from last week. Blakey has told North.
I can't hear you for the last time.
Put
the microphone near your mouth, not near your ears or in your armpit. Near your mouth.
And Blakey's son has told North to go and get fucked.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you to go get fucked.
Oh, no.
You know what? I don't actually like that. I mean,
No,
let's be
I
frank.
don't either.
An ex-AFL player's son is not going to be lost to another sport.
Correct.
Which means he shouldn't be in an academy. I mean, don't you get enough players already sitting in halls?
It's funny that you say that in the week that Darryl White's son went and played basketball, but you are right. He's not the reason. He's not why they have academies.
This is not why the academies exist. No. It's wrong.
If you want to feed us the bullshit that, these kids would not play football because this is why the academies exist. These are kids that would never be in the game at all if it weren't for the academies. I will buy that to an extent, but nobody's buying that for these father-sons who are clearly going to play football anyway.
And not for the bloody GWS Riverina zone,
Yeah,
which
that
is
too.
like traditional footy heartland. Which
was taken away. That's gone now, isn't it? They actually got rid of that after like a year or so.
Yeah, common sense prevailed, thankfully.
Common sense should prevail here. It probably will take this one for it to happen, but yeah, it's just another handout for the Colas because the AFL's foreseen this slide down the ladder.
Oh, well, at least North told John Blakey and his son to get fucked when they beat him this week. Mm-hmm. Enjoy the slide.
Last couple of talking points relate to video games. The AFL have gone all in on the esports, hosting an esports riot, apparently it's called, or something.
What?
They're hosting an esports event.
The League of Legends, which hasn't been relevant for years.
Well, apparently it's big in esports, because esports is big, apparently.
What a load of shit.
Ask Jose.
I don't think he listens to us anymore. He's too busy on Twitch.
Well, at least St Kilda could probably enter a team. Might win a fucking premiership in that as well.
Yeah, but it won't be worth anything.
Remember when Cookie thought an AFL Women's Premiership would be just as good as an AFL Men's?
Yeah, now he's dropped that from there to an esports flag.
Now he's gone to esports.
Fucking hell, a moral premiership is better than an esports premiership. Yeah, I got nothing on that.
No, what a load of shit.
I would sooner see the AFL spend money on AFLX than this shit.
And that's crap.
Maybe the AFL should take the money they're spending and, put a bit
give
more
it to you.
I'll say put a bit more of it into some skills coaching, maybe goal kicking. That'll fix
Why
us.
don't they send it to Tasmania and fix what they fucked up there?
Very interesting that you've gone that way, Cookson, because we'll segue from kicking skills to apparently the reason for that, according to Stewie Jew, is too much PlayStation. According to Stewie Jew, too much PlayStation is to blame for the lack of skills from players.
So esports, are we blaming esports?
Apparently in their free time they don't spend enough time on skills, they spend it playing PlayStation.
Well, I can confirm that interactions I had with footballers at a younger age, they spent a hell of a lot of time playing PlayStation and no time outside of their hours at the club training.
Stewie Jew would know all about this too. He'd probably spend it all on the couch eating.
Well, he couldn't even find the fucking PlayStation remote under all the Dorito packets.
Do we think there's anything to this? Like, actually?
Maybe, but I wouldn't want to... I don't think it's a silver bullet either.
No, I don't either. I think there's something to this in that perhaps the way time is spent, but I think it's more a prioritization of time issue, and it's more falls back to the clubs. Too much time on fucking fitness, and sports scientists, as we'll come to in the questions, but yeah. I just did find it funny that, Stewie Jew's solution is skills. Like, everyone's talking all this other shit. Stewie Jew's like, just play less PlayStation.
It would have held... I think it would have held more... I don't know. It would have been given more credit if it didn't come from the fat coach.
I don't know why you would, single out PlayStation, though. Presumably, what if someone spent all their free time outside of club-imposed training sessions at home playing the piano? Would that be equally detrimental to skills, or
who would want to do that?
Or the clarinet.
You.
Or the clarinet, or the guitar, or fucking some other hobby.
Spare time.
Or doing landscaping in your garden. What?
That's true.
Tending to the roses.
I think there's something to this in the sense that less time on skills, yes, but I'm not sure the relevance of singling out esports.
You said it would be funny if it didn't come from the fat coach. I just wish Mick Moldhouse was still around to make this comment, because if coming from the old coach, it would be even funnier. Those kids in their video games.
Mick would probably try and blame it on cell phones and say these bloody new Nokia 2520s or whatever the old Nokia brick was. And he rocks up to the press conference with this dial phone where you have to turn the wheel to ring someone.
Turns up with a shoe phone.
One of those old ones where you speak into you hold the thing to your ear, but you speak into the phone.
Actually, I think I know what could lead to downfall in skills. Basketball.
Oh, yeah, I blame basketball.
Yeah, Pendlebury. It's all Pendlebury's fault.
Fucking oath it is.
Pendlebury might do very slick handballs, but he's to blame for the general kicking.
Actually, yeah.
That's it. I'm going to ring my mum right now.
I reckon if the fucking footballers spend time playing bloody NBA 2K18 on their PlayStations at home, then that just compounds the issue. It's like the worst of both worlds.
Yeah.
Surely no one's actually playing that game.
I don't know. Is there an esport based around it?
There's a real sport based around, for fuck's sake.
No, but there are legit esports based on.
I know, and this is where it gets fucking ridiculous.
Whoever came up with the name, why did they put sports in it as well? It's not even
because it makes it sound legitimate.
Because they're fat nerds who want to pretend they're playing something.
They want to be called athletes.
Respectable.
Yes, that way they get to call themselves athletes.
Watch this shit make it to the Olympics, and then you can get a medal for for being a video gamer.
Yeah, but some medals are worth more than others. Like, curling medals aren't really that significant.
Yeah, but a gold medal is a gold medal if you've got it on your resume, though.
Yeah, but people will know.
What's the second question when you say you've got a gold medal? Oh, what'd you win it in? Esports.
Downhill skiing.
There are plenty of footballers who could go for that one.
Josh Kennedy's got one.
We only have the one question this week, and we will transition to that from this topic because it's very similar to this topic. It comes from Bosk, and he wants to know...
Max asked another question too.
Oh, is that a recent one?
Yeah.
Oh, always got to refresh it. So I open it when we start the episode, and Gornage drops his questions in after we start.
Well, he said he was hoping he wasn't too late.
That's a very topical question.
Yeah, unfortunately, hope doesn't go a long way in this world.
We'll start with Bosk's one anyway. The AFL is concerned scoring levels are down. Name one stupid but amusing idea to improve them.
Widen the goalpost.
Just make the target area bigger.
I got an idea. If your score is reviewed and it's a goal, it's worth double.
Well, then
that way it brings the crowd into it because the crowd will really want to
It's
score
a super goal.
Super goal.
Because 2 people had to look at it, it's worth 2 times as much.
Yeah, why the fuck not?
What if the players on the bench competed against each other, the 2 teams, in some sort of esports setting while they're on the bench, and then that could add to this, like whoever kicks a goal on the AFL game on the PlayStation gets to add that goal to their team score.
You kick a goal when you're on the bench, you have to run onto the ground afterwards.
And instead of like where they do the tap, the old high fives as you change over, you hand over the controller. The guy coming on hands it to the other one like a baton. All I was going to say was bring back playing coaches, abolish coaches so that your coach has to be an on-field player. So that take a lot of the negative tactics out of it. Luke Hodge will still have another 4 years in him. Win-win, I think.
What about players being able to be equipped with jetpacks so they can fly over and just kick from like goalpost height?
We're going to get a lot more concussions, I think. Can you imagine McCartan trying to fly a jetpack?
We'll make him wear helmets.
Jesus, Cookson, it's not Quidditch.
We've already got esports on the bench. Might as well have him called fucking snitching.
I think we've all answered that. All of those ideas, I think, are still better than zones. Gornage wants to know, and it's very topical for this episode, which supporter base do you think has the highest percentage of sexual deviance?
Essendon.
Port Adelaide.
No, yes.
Incest.
Essendon. It's got to be Essendon.
Essendon. Easily Essendon.
Bombers. Aaron.
Jared. Fog Dog.
James Hurd.
James Hurd.
Zaka.
Thompson.
Joe Danaher.
What else have you got on there? That's weird.
God looks like he could get up to some weird shit.
Yeah, he'd fuck himself.
There's one other guy that's weird. I forget his name.
Robbo.
DOS.
Can we put Dan 26 in that category?
Yeah, why not, Dan? if that'll make you feel better.
Yeah, it will. Thank you. And you guys laughed at my 20% math on the whole very topic. I think it's more real. I think it was being more generous. I think than the other.
Your 20% number's still ridiculous.
No, it's not. Not for the demographic type of person you get on internet forums.
Maybe a specific subset of like internet forums, like say 20% of the SFA board. I could buy that.
I could buy that too. 20% of the Essendon board.
So you guys are slowly coming around then. Well, then that's good.
But I'd say like 1% of Bay 13.
We've established that the SFA board and the Essendon board are 20%. There's more people on the main board than there is any other board. I would say the main board's like...
Are we really going here again? Do we have any other answers to Gornage's question?
Collingwood purely on the basis of trade draft.
That's one person.
That's one.
That's not quite 20%, is it, Dan?
No, it's not.
Good maths, Dan.
Let's go to this week on the Bay. Thread of the week, what do we got?
Congratulations, Plugger.
What was that one? Who was that by?
Like, Tire Boys.
Okay.
Maxim and Gornage had a thread about some Richmond supporter having a fun on the train.
Yeah, with his hand down his pants.
Yeah, and he's just got this really content sort of look about him too. Like he doesn't care. I'm just having a go at this.
I'm pleasuring myself, and I don't care who knows about it.
Maybe Richmond. Maybe between him and the boys, maybe Richmond deserved an honourable mention to that last question.
Yeah, there's sort of the late charger.
Maybe that was what he was fishing for.
You know what? Roscoe's pickup lines.
That was going to be mine on Roscoe's pickup lines. That was good fun. Deserved more than 54 replies from Big Birds. Anyone else got anything?
No, I like the Tiggy Train Glubber.
Honourable mention only, because it's kind of a sad thread, but the one from Demon Davies saying goodbye to Big Footy. I don't know if anyone saw that, but it hit me right in the feels.
Where is that?
And did someone just flush the toilet?
Oh no, I emptied the jug of water. Sorry.
I thought we had Dibbles back there for a second.
William Davies thread, and what's it about?
Leaving Big Footy.
On the main board, I don't know if he's... I'm sure I've seen him on the bay before, though.
Yeah.
So he's a...
Can you give me a gist of what was it about, or not? Or is it not base event related?
Honourable mention, and I know I'm going to get...
No, we're not going to talk about the thread I just asked for.
Well, I haven't really read it. I just know the gist of it.
He was saying goodbye, so maybe it was sad, Dan.
Yeah, he's
I
leaving.
literally said he's saying goodbye, and it's a sad thread. So
He's not saying goodbye because he was going out for the weekend.
Hang on, goodbye in what sense? As in, I'm leaving Big Footy or goodbye? That's not bad. Hodge does that every week.
Go and find the thread, and then you'll get it.
I'm looking for it. I can't find it.
Honourable mention to... I'm going to get slammed for this, but Rich at the Disco, dude, I go for Richmond.
No.
Even Stevie Wonder seen that coming. Fucking Jesus.
But I think Penal has the deciding vote between the Richmond Glubber thread or the Roscoe pickup lines thread.
I'm going to go for Glubber.
Okay. So that's our thread of the week. Who we got for flog of the week?
Starburns for the old circle joke.
Fucking hell.
Reach around.
Yeah, and just being
agree.
really... And the whispering nature of your presence tonight.
And his creepy ASMR shit.
Yeah.
What?
So I just figured out, is it new? I don't know. ASMR, is that new or is that...
What's ASMR?
I've seen
people who whisper in videos, right? And like people get off over it. And so I watched a makeup tutorial. Yeah. I watched a makeup tutorial yesterday where they whispered. And then it's like making all these noises like touching his teeth, and it gave me flashbacks of Andrew Lee and Charlie, and like it was terrifying, but the whole thing was whispered like this. And it's supposed to relax you.
If anyone's getting off over the whispering today, it's Dan though.
That's what I thought it was.
Oh, you know what? I'll wear that because I had no nominations. Do we have any dishonourables, though, whilst we're here?
Oh, yeah, the Collingwood blow-ins for bragging about winning over Brisbane.
Yeah, that's my shtick.
I've got, like, poster of the week.
Normally you give us a food tip now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Caramel cookies are fucking delicious.
Where can we buy them? James Hurd's store? Are you going to have a pop-up store making your chocolate?
Yeah, you can't buy them anywhere because you can't get the chocolate anymore, but I've got a batch of caramel cookies that are going down an absolute treat.
You should sell them on eBay or something.
And the caramel, like, sort of melts in the middle. Oh, mate, this is delicious.
I just read the Demon Davies thread, and that is a bit sort of, yeah. Why would you even bring that up, Penal?
I bring it up because everyone should read it if they haven't already, because it's got a good, heartfelt message behind it, and it's bigger than just, some things are more important than just talking shit about football.
Fair enough. Even we can be sensible at times.
Even everyone except Dan.
Yeah.
Hey!
There were no other dishonourables?
No.
There probably were, but I can't think of any.
I'm going to nominate Elon Musk. Stop being an idiot.
Why is he an idiot?
Did you see the stunt he pulled? It's straight out of the Enron playbook. Like, everyone already thinks he's a fraud, and he's not exactly doing much to
What did he do?
allay that fear.
He's not a fraud. He's a modern day Tony Stark.
He's a fucking snake oil salesman. He just goes out and
You're
promotes.
starting to sound like Flat Earth.
Those electric cars work, though.
He's like losing money at a ridiculous rate, and he is proud of it. And
He's a maverick. He
because
does whatever
it's
he
other
wants.
people's
Right.
money.
If he wants to send a Tesla into space, then let him do this.
Of course he fucking will do that because he's not paying the bills for it.
Maybe he'll build his own chocolate factory.
Maybe if you write him a letter, he can fucking bring the caramel factory to Australia.
Yum.
Next week's games.
Who's going to tip? Who wants to tip?
I don't want to.
No, it's your turn.
No, it's not my turn. It's
It is. No, we've all had a turn. It's your turn.
I had a turn in round 1.
Yeah, and so there's 5 of us on here, and we've all had a turn since, Dick Brain. It's your turn.
Yeah.
Oh, well, maybe no tips this weekend then.
No, Dan, don't be a log. It's a part of the fucking show. People wait for this.
Oh, I'm sure they do. They wait for the very end to listen to the various tips from the idiots from Bay 13. Because we're all doing well in the tipping competition, aren't we?
I'm
Well,
doing
Speak for
decently.
yourself.
It's time to turn it around, Dan.
I don't know how I'm going because I don't understand Super Brew.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty stupid fucking...
I hope I got a margin right this week.
Yeah, I know, right? Even though
I didn't get any of my tips right, but I got some pretty good margins, so I think I'm okay.
Well, then you're on top of the ladder now. Good for you.
Yeah.
Congratulations, you're wearing the yellow hat. Dan, put your yellow hat on. It's your turn.
All right, I'll do it.
Hawthorn, Sydney.
Hawthorn.
Giants versus Eagles.
Giant.
Oh, do Carlton kill Owen this week? They're playing Essendon.
No, they don't.
Suns versus Melbourne at the Gabba.
Sheemans.
Showdown, Puffers versus Crows.
Crows.
Dogs versus Bryans. Do the Bryans break their Owen?
No, they don't.
You're no fun. Dockers versus St Kilda.
No tip.
It's always going to happen.
No tip.
Doesn't matter if they're good now. Nope, no tip.
North versus Richmond.
North.
And Collingwood versus Cats.
Oh, shit, that's tough.
No, it's not.
Collingwood, maybe. Just.
It's not a final. We'll win.
Very convincing. And that is everything. So this was the Flogcast for round 8. Starburns joined by Cookson,
Farewell.
Morgs,
Au revoir.
Penal,
Adios.
and Dan.
Kind to one another.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you all next week.
What? No one heard that.
Exactly. If it's not stuffing up the bloody intros, it's like can't barely hear you whispering for 2 hours.
There's fucking ASMR shit, and then there's the wheelchair kid from Malcolm in the Middle, and that's what you sound like.
Like, literally no one heard that goodbye.
Oh, really?
No, so we're still going.
We're waiting for you to say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Please say
And I'll
goodbye.
see you next time.
See you next week. Thanks for listening.
We can't hear
What?
you. No.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week, cunt.
Oh, there you go. Well, you don't have to scream it out. I mean, come on.
You know that's going to be all distorted when you listen to it.
Fucking hell.
Get fucked, cunts.